Hi good people, Titus here for part 11 of our Qbert mini-series, and in this video we'll be setting up the flying saucer to carry Qbert into the map whenever he spawns. Let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Alright, so I think starting off we're going to go to our Blender folder, create a new folder. I'm just going to call it saucer. Open that up here, and then I have just a simple, kind of like a cylinder that's colored, that I'm going to import from Blender. No animations or anything, you could probably just use a flattened cylinder, kind of be the same thing. Then I'm going to come to the blueprints folder. We're going to create a new blueprint actor. We'll call it pp_saucer. I'm going to open that up and dock it. I'm going to press Control Spacebar, go into Blender, open the saucer, highlight it so it's selected. Then you can hit Add. It'll make a reference to the static mesh. So I can select that, press Enter, and lock it in. Saucer's a bit big. It was made for Qbert in Blender, so we scaled Qbert down a bit. So I'm going to reduce this by half. Then I'm also going to add a box collision, so we have a way to detect when Qbert enters and leaves the saucer, and then we could trigger code based on that as well. And then we're going to need two variables. The first variable I'm going to do is hide, and I'm going to make this one a vector, and the second one I'm going to do is show, and that's also going to be a vector. Now I have these values hard-coded. Essentially they're going to be just to the side right here, and I'll show you that in a second. But so the one for hide, I'm using -100 by -400 by -550. The one for show is going to be -100, 600, -550. And then I compile and save that, and we can go into our event graph. We're not going to need tick or begin overlap. We will need begin play. But starting off, I think let's create some custom functions. So we'll do add custom event. We'll call this one show platform. And we'll create a second custom event. This will be hide platform. Alright, then I'm going to come into a timeline. Let's open the timeline up. I'm going to do a 1 second timeline. It's only going to be a float track. The name of the track is going to be alpha, because this is going to be an alpha value. And our alpha is going to have two states. It's going to have one keyframe, and that key is going to be at 0, 0. The second keyframe is going to be at 1, 1. And then we can expand, so your graph should look something like this. So compile, save that. Go back to the event graph, and then I'm going to do play from start for the show platform. Oops. And then I'm going to do reverse from end for the hide platform. The way this is going to work is we're just going to use the parent component, which in this particular case is this default scene root. Everything's parented to that. So I can drag that into the graph, and I can tell it to set the world location. And then on the update, I can just drag that into the set world location, and we just need to plug in a location. So we have two locations. We have a hide and we have a show. So we can control drag those out to get a reference to them. And if you pull off any of these pins, we can come into a lerp vector, this one right here, and then I'm going to plug the hide into A, the show into B, and then I have an alpha value, and that's going to come from the timeline. So the way this works is it basically is going to move between position A and position B based on some alpha value, and the alpha value is basically 1 second, where it's going to blend between these two spaces. Now something you can do, this is going to be this is linear, so it's going to be very it's gonna be very quick and sudden, you can right click on these frames and actually set it to auto, and it'll do a much gradual, smoother transition, so it won't be as sudden, I guess. And then we can plug the return value into this location here, and that should complete the code to actually show the platform and hide it, basically how we get the movement going. And for the begin play, we're going to be spawning Qbert right above the platform, so you want to give a little bit of time for Qbert to be affected by gravity and actually fall on the platform. So we'll come into a delay, and we'll give it probably just a 1 second delay, I think is fine. And then we're going to call show platform. So if we're going to be showing platform as the first thing we're doing, we should probably hide the platform by default. So we can come into our scene and drag our blueprint in. Now I can manually move in position, but we have the hidden location already. I can just come into hide, right click and copy, come back into my level. For location, I can right click and paste. And then you can see that's the hidden location right there. Now right now Qbert spawns at the top. We need him to spawn above the pad. So I can grab that player start. Under location, I can right click and paste, and it's going to put it right where the pad is, but I need it slightly above. So I'm going to come to the Z axis, and I'm going to do maybe -460. And I think that looks good. So now if we compile and save, we can see that Qbert's actually spawning correctly. But you see the location is messed up, right? Let me show you again. So when we spawn, the thing slides out, we try to jump, but it flips us back where we were. Inside Qbert, under the begin play, it grabs the current location after 0.2 seconds. So we just need to maybe make this a little bit longer to give time for the pad to actually make it out. So if we compile and save that, it should slide out, and now the jump has enough time to update the current location. So that's working. The issue though is the saucer isn't going back, so we need to set that up. What you can do is select your trigger box, and you can right click, add a event for the box, do a collision. I think it makes the most sense to do an end overlap, but technically a begin overlap would actually catch it as well. But we'll stick with an end overlap. I'm going to cast to Qbert, plug my actor into the object field. If it successfully casts to Qbert, I want to wait just a half second, probably even less honestly, but and that's just to give Qbert enough time to get off the platform. And then I'm going to call hide platform. And then if I compile and save, that should be the bulk of the saucer code. So now when I jump off, the thing should go away. Now, I don't think it's going to work on death because I don't think there's anything that triggers it on death. So if I jump off and die, also I think I'm going to spawn at the top. I don't think we ever updated that, so we got to fix that. So Qbert, when he dies, which is up here, he gets spawned at this spawn location. The spawn location really should be our player start, right? So if we come over here, we have our player start selected. We want this location right here. So actually instead, I think the way we'll do it is we'll move the slider over, and then we'll spawn Qbert over here when the pad goes, because in a later video we're going to make a particle system for the spawn animation, and you won't be able to see it if he's behind the thing, so we'll actually change that up a bit. So the way we can do that is we can come into the saucer, and under the show location, we can copy that. And then we can come over and paste this. But the Z is going to be a little bit too low. So we want to actually put that to, I think it was negative 460. So now if I compile and save that, we slide out, it slides back. If I die, instead of spawning at the top of the pyramid, I should spawn over there, but nothing was there to catch me. So I basically just fell. I'm falling forever. The reason that happened is because the saucer never got the command to come back to the front of the pyramid. So the way we control that is through a blueprint interface. So we can actually loop this into the same interface and run it through that. So you can come to class settings, under interfaces, hit add, choose BPI def, compile, and then you can do a search for player death, and you'll see the event player death comes up. It'll be the one with the little blueprint icon here, and it's just a simple matter of calling your show platform. So now what happens is when Qbert dies, the platform will get the call to actually move over. There, you see the platform's there now. Qbert will then spawn there, and we'll play a Niagara system for that. And when he jumps off, it goes back. And then that pretty much does a lot of that. Now, one thing I want to change is I want to change the snake. He jumps up starting off. We probably want him to jump in a downward position, so we'll switch his default random to be either a 2 or a 3. But the other issue with the snake is when he kills us, the camera system is kind of jarring that you see right there. So let's see if we can fix that. First things first, let's open up Coily. Under his random, just set that to 2 or 3, and that should be a downward jump. So when he spawns, he should come in a downward fashion, which would make it less likely that he's going to jump off the edge. Yeah, there you go. And then he goes completely random from there. So I think that's a little bit better. Although that time wasn't, he just jumped right off. Let me make sure that's random. Is he going to do something? He'll come down, and then he shouldn't keep, there he goes. Okay, so it is random. And then we can close out of Coily. Alright, so for the camera system, now we have a level camera. To make this work more efficiently, let's select this camera and come to the blueprint section up here and do convert the selection to a blueprint class. We're going to choose harvest, and we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it BP underscore camera, or whatever you want to name it, doesn't matter. Now when we did that, it's going to break the level blueprint, so we're going to have to go into our level blueprint. And you notice we did a blend to actually move to the camera system, but now that, well, let me actually compile and save everything. Well, this actor, normally it says unknown, but this is actually no longer valid. So what we have to do is actually delete it, because it's not going to work. It should give you an error message. And instead, you want to come off a get actor of class. And then from your actor class, you want to change that to be the BP camera. And then you can just push in the return value here. And then compile and save that. So now we want to make sure that that death code still works. And that was triggered on the jumping off. So when we jump off, it should flip back to the camera, which it does, and then it'll flip back to Qbert here. Now the other thing that allows us to do though is under the death code. So when Qbert dies, we'll set him hidden, and then we can blend to that camera on a death. Because depending on where you are in the pyramid you die, it could be a little bit of an odd transition, I guess. So we'll do get actor of class, choose it to be the camera, and then we'll set view target. This one doesn't come up, just uncheck context sensitive. Set view target with blend. The return value would be the new target. The target for self has to be get controller or get player controller. Now we want the game mode one, not the player state, because this will not work. So turn on context sensitive, and you'll see the game mode one. And you know it's the right one when you have the index. The blend time will do just 1 second. And then the other thing I'm going to do with Qbert is we're using a spring arm, but we're not really making good use of a lot of the spring arm functions. So let's add some camera lag. We'll set it to maybe 1. That way it makes it a little more dynamic, I guess. So now you have this, this sort of more cinematic feature, I guess. And coily goes down first. If we die, see it blends to the world camera, and then it should blend back to us, just like that. Then our life system's working. We got our game timer, we got our counter, our score system's good, our enemies working. Come through and make sure our end states are good as well. Alright, then you got your you win screen score, and then it should reload the level, so we're looking pretty good so far. But, alright good people, I think we'll cut it here to keep this one short. In the next video, we're going to add a title screen to this project to make it kind of more of a video game, and then kind of go from there. But as always, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and see you on the next one.